Finished another quilt, surprise, surprise, and this one I actually did free motion quilting on. Not perfect, but it works. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and this is my weekly vlog number 129 for August the 26th, 2019. And I hope everybody had a good weekend, and I hope you had a good last week. And yeah, so let's jump right into it with the little thing hanging up behind me. Like, when is it you don't see a quilt hanging up behind me? I know it's rare. I'm a quilt making machine, I guess. But here we go. This I've had laying around for a while. I had done the top some time ago. It's in, of course, the Canadian theme. This is actually fabric that part of it has been used for the Quilts of Valor, which I make squares for, and some of it I think came from the 150th anniversary line of Canadian fabric. I like the fabric, and these were just basically made up of scraps. I didn't really have a plan. I just decided to do this type of block, but you can see there's pieces in here, irregular pieces that come from it being scrap material sewn together. I put a border on it. I actually did a double border, and I did do some quilting on it, and you can't see it really on the video, but I did it all free motion. This is the first time I've done a complete quilt, and this is really just a throw, so it's not a big quilt. It's the first time I have ever done an entire quilt free motion on my domestic machine. I call it wonky lines because they are pretty wonky, but actually the overall effect is pretty good. And the back of this looks like this. I really love this fabric. Those are all little tiny maple leaves, and you can see the quilting on this a little bit better. Again, probably not on the video, but yeah, I'm happy with the way that turned out. I am working on another quilt, of course, and the next one that I'm just getting ready to layer and probably start quilting, and I'm going to do it on my domestic machine as opposed to a long arm. I mean, anything this size, anything less than a queen, I can pretty much do on my domestic machine rather than on a long arm. Anything queen size and bigger, then I think I will do them on the long arm. But anyways, I digress. The quilt I'm working on right now is my first commissioned quilt. I'm not really getting paid for this, but a friend of mine asked me if I would make him a quilt. He wanted it for the back of his couch, so he wants a throw. And he left the design to me. I asked him what kind of colors, and he wanted, vintage style, because he does collect antiques and things like that, and I pretty much figured he'd want vintage. So I happened to have a kit laying around that I bought over a year ago that had Tim Holtz fabrics in it. And Tim Holtz's style is all the sort of the shabby chic, grunged, vintage look. So I thought that might be perfect. So I got the quilt top done this weekend, and I pieced the back, and I think it's looking pretty good. I thought it was going to be an easy quilt to do, and it wasn't that hard, but it did a couple of things I've never done before, so I learned a few things on this, and which is always good. So I'm going to hopefully get that quilted sometime this week. I'm just going to do a simple walking foot quilting on that particular piece, and then it'll be ready to go. It may take me longer to get it to my friend. He lives in Toronto. Not that that's miles away, but between our schedules and his schedule, he may not be getting this until around Christmas time. But at least I'll have it done and out of the way. And I told him, he offered to pay for the fabric and everything, and I said, no, you're a friend. No, it's just, I'm just happy to make it. I'm just happy that he felt that my quilts were good enough that he'd like one himself. So, and I think too, I've got to start, and I've said this before, but I think future quilts that I start making, I'm going to have people in mind for them. I'm going to start giving them away, because I have made, I counted the other day, In the year and a half that I've been quilting, I've made over 21 quilts in various sizes. That's not counting wall hangings, that's not counting pillows, not counting bags, tablecloths, or not tablecloths, table runners, placemats, all that kind of stuff. I've just been a busy beaver with this new hobby of mine. Anyways, yeah, let's move on. So, this week's YouTube channel, I debated whether I was even going to bring it to your attention, but it was brought to my attention by, I'm not sure who it was now, somebody, and they said they thought that I would get a laugh out of it because it's supposedly funny. It is funny. It's almost borderline funny, like in that kind of, oh my God, this guy is nuts kind of way. But, well, check this out. The YouTube channel for this week is one that's a little quirky, quite funny, and a little strange all in one. It doesn't have anything to do with crafting or quilting, but it does have to do with unboxings, general vlog-like information from a guy who I'm not sure if he's just naturally funny or he's interviewing for a stand-up comedian act. The name of the YouTube channel is Imbrandonfarris, all one word. And if you want something a little different, somewhat annoying too at times, you might want to check out this particular YouTube channel. So if you want to laugh, check out that YouTube channel, and the link for that is below. Stephen and Walter Live happened on Sunday at the usual time, and the link for that is below. And this week we got into a very controversial topic, and I have to thank the people who were joining in on the conversation. We didn't take anybody's heads off. Everybody was very civil and had lots to say, and of course we were talking about organized religion, and who doesn't have an opinion about that? So if you want to catch that discussion and you weren't able to join us on the live broadcast, I've got a link below to the rebroadcast of it in my show notes. There's also a link to my blog, which so far is pretty much just me on there. So yeah, check it out if you're interested. And I've got the link to the two books that I'm going to be talking about in a couple of minutes. So moving right on, let's get into what's pissing me off this week. And I am sort of rushing through my general information in my vlog because this week's iCraft Kit segment is fairly long. So I'll speak more to that issue in a moment. So what's pissing me off this week? How cheap things are made. Yes, we all know there's built-in obsolescence to everything. But what brought this on to me was I was using my Vagabond. If you don't know what a Vagabond is, it is made by Sizzix. It's got Tim Holtz's name on it. It's an electric die cutting machine. They've been around for a while, and I've had this one for quite a while as well. But one of the things people were complaining about when they came out with the original Vagabond was that because it has plastic gears inside, it would break. Now, a lot of that breakage comes from people not making their what they call their die cutting sandwich properly and making it too thick and trying to force it through the machine, and that would, you know, put undue pressure on the rollers and everything in the gears and snap them. Well, I've always been very cautious of that. If the machine won't accept it, it means it's too thick. Don't try jamming it through. But just general wear and tear, I guess. But the other day I was using it. I was not forcing anything too big through it, but then I heard snap, and it wouldn't pull the plates through. And upon investigation, giving it a little shake, I heard chunks inside. That means that my gears, it's an original Vagabond, so they're plastic, have finally done their time and snapped. Now, it's not a great disaster, but I'm so used to having that machine, and it's a cute machine, and it's electric, and it does a nice job. So essentially, it's sitting on the floor now, just sitting there. Basically, I'm debating whether I should invest in a new one. Thing is, a new machine on Amazon, they're about $240 or something like that Canadian. It's not a cheap toy. Now, you might say, yeah, you buy a lot of toys. You don't seem to complain about the price. That's true. That's very true. But I do have 2 more die cutting machines. Now, neither one is electric. One's a Big Shot, one's a Spellbinders, but they both do the job. And to be honest, I don't do a lot of die cutting anymore. In fact, if I'm doing any die cutting lately, like I was doing on the weekend, it's cutting fabric for applique. So I think I'm just going to put it on hold for a while. Maybe I'll see someone somewhere, one out that's on sale or something. I doubt it. They have improved them. The Vagabond 2 that they came out with about a year or so later, after people were having this problem with the first one, supposedly has all metal gears as opposed to plastic inside. So basically what I'm saying is, though, nothing ever lasts forever. Now, okay, I might be a little unfair to be pissed off at the manufacturing quality of the Vagabond, because it's done me 5 years, maybe going on 6 years. I think I picked that machine up about a year after I was retired, and I've been retired 7 years. So yeah, 5 or 6 years I've had that machine. And there were times when I used it quite a bit. So I guess I got my money's worth with it. But there are so many other things that you buy that break down in no time flat. And it just pisses me off that manufacturers do have the ability to make things to last longer, but they don't. They go for the cheapest they can get away with to maximize their profit, and they don't care about us, the consumers, at all. Take appliances, for example. At one point in time, the major appliances you had in your house, your stove, your fridge, possibly a dishwasher, your washer, your dryer, okay, the big 5, that are no longer considered luxury items. They're considered must-haves for the kind of life that we live in the 21st century. You used to sink a lot of money into any of those appliances, and you used to expect to get, well, lifetime use out of them. Not anymore. Not anymore. The life of an appliance, they say, is about 5 years. 5 to 10 years. More like 5. Well, when you're dropping, and like these fridges today, they're so elaborate. They have computers built into them. You can write notes on a little touch screen and make your shopping list. It'll even show you what's inside your fridge without you opening the doors on the fridge. And those suckers are $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. That's a significant amount of money to put out on an appliance. So you would expect that this is the last fridge you'll ever buy. Probably not. The manufacturer's warranties on them, they do not stand behind them. They are usually only for about a year, maybe 2 years. Of course, a lot of places try to sell you extended warranties, and then they go out of business, or they change the policies on you, or whatever. So, really, I always consider that money down the drain. They make it sound like you're making an investment in it. Well, let's see. If you have to give me an extended warranty on a product, then you must be pretty sure this product's going to probably break down before the manufacturer's warranty is up, or right after. Usually it always happens to me the day after the warranty has worn out or is run out, the appliance breaks down. Okay? Yeah, so I mean, manufacturers do this on purpose, and they're just laughing all the way to the bank, because you're going to have to replace those items because you cannot live without them. Well, we could, but we won't. As simple as that. The same can be applied, as we all know, to cars, and lots of things. And I'm just thinking, my parents, they bought a fridge in 1957. The year I was born, okay? They bought a fridge. I grew up with that fridge. And even when my mother replaced that fridge with a newer model, that fridge went down into the basement of our house and became like the beer fridge, the extra fridge, because that's the other thing. Nobody just has one fridge anymore. I have 2 full-size fridges, and I have 2 what they used to call bar fridges kind of thing, and I have a wine fridge, a small one, but a wine fridge. Like, really, do you need that many fridges? And my answer is yes, you do. Yes, you do. Simple as that. But anyways, back to this old 1957 fridge. It was a General Electric. That thing was still working up until about a couple of years before my mother moved out of her house. And that was when, about in 2000 and when did my father pass away? 2014. So she moved out of her house in 2014, and I think only about a year or two before that did they finally get rid of that fridge. And not because it had quit working, just because they didn't need it, and it was a 60-year-old fridge. Now that is quality, and they don't make things like that anymore. So they can make them, but they don't want to, because that's going to eat into their bottom line, isn't it? So anyways, that's what got me thinking about it. Got me a little pissed off when my Vagabond died. But as I said, it's not the end of the world. I have 2 more die cutting machines. They'll work. Just means I have to do them manually. Oh, the pain. Okay, enough on that. Moving on. Anything new to show you? No, don't have anything new, but I do have some things on order. So when they come in, I'll show those to you. Oh, I did get one thing. Yeah, I probably could show you this. I've mentioned these before in my crafting, but this, you're always on the search for the elusive white pen, especially in mixed media. One that will write over top of like acrylic paint and things like that. Well, the Uni-Ball Signo, it's a Signo, is the best one on the market. Everybody loves these. I love these. But the problem is getting them. I used to buy them at my local art supply store. They haven't had them for a while. No reason why. Every time I go in, I ask them. Nope, they haven't got them yet. Michael's does not sell them that I have been able to find. And if Michael's did, I'd have to take out a small loan to afford it if I didn't have the coupon, as we all know. So I went on to Amazon, and yeah, I could get a package of 3 of these pens for $7.49 Canadian. Now, it was a third-party seller, but it was free shipping. But it did say I would get it sometime between August the 30th and September 7th or something like that. Okay, fine and dandy. I wasn't in a rush. However, I ordered these about the 1st of August. They arrived unannounced end of last week. So I have 3 of them, and they're excellent. And I have the link in the show notes below to Amazon to where you can pick them up. And it is an affiliate link. As you know, I'm experimenting with that whole idea of, the kickback from Amazon. To date, I don't think I've gotten any, but that's okay. Anyways, they're there. But if you're looking for a really good white pen for your mixed media work, the Uni-Ball Signo, I highly recommend. Okay, moving on. That sounded like an advertisement. Guess it was. Book reviews. Okay, what have we got? Okay, I went in my stash and I found these 2 books go together. There's a volume 1 and a volume 2. And we've been talking about, or I've been showing you books and things, showing you how to, create embellishments and things for your artwork using wire was one week and other things. Well, of course, if you're doing scrapbooking, pictures are your focal point. If you're doing mixed media, oftentimes you have a visual that's a focal point. And oftentimes it may be a picture. So what to do with those? Well, this book's for you. Creative Photocropping for Scrapbooking. And you can just extend that to mixed media and card making as well. But basically it has all kinds of ideas on how to cut your pictures up to make them more interesting on the pages of your scrapbook. You can see that I've even marked. Now, I didn't do this recently. Again, this is sitting in my stash of books and haven't checked it out too much. I'm not sure why I had that page marked at getting started. Well, you got to cut it. They do talk about that. Oh, here's one. Oh, probably because it had the mosaic. And so they talk about that, or doing something in the kaleidoscope. There are actually computer programs you can get now that will do this for you with your picture. But the time that I bought this book, I don't think there was those kind of computer programs out that would do it. So you did this by cutting. Now this I'm just thinking out loud right now, but this really kind of reminds me of doing a quilt. So idea in my head right now, this inspired. Books always inspire me. What if I was to take a basic quilting design, a block, and apply that to a picture? Kind of like what they've done here. Might be onto something. Don't know. I get these ideas and I write them all down, and then I never look at the list again. And here's the second volume of this, and it's called Cutting Edge Photocropping for Scrapbooks. So more ideas and things to do and whatnot. Now, these are both really nice books. They are an investment because I'm sure I paid, well, at the time I paid $35.99 for each one of these books. Canadian. That's a lot. Okay. And they're by a company that no longer exists called Memory Makers. Now, I've featured other books by Memory Makers as well. Sometimes you can get these, sometimes you can't, because Memory Makers doesn't exist anymore. However, you can get those books. They're on Amazon. The first book, Creative Photocropping, is listed on Amazon for $18.87. Not sure about shipping. And the second book is listed for $10.88. This is all in Canadian. So the two books together, and depending on what shipping is, actually cost less than what I paid for one of these. So I've put a link to that in the show notes below if you're interested. Okay, so that takes us to a new segment, well, a new project, and it's doing this, the iCraft, another iCraft kit. This was called the Tote Folio Album. And this one's kind of fun, and I'll show you in the video today how to assemble it. Now, I ran into a couple of problems with this, which I'll explain in the video. And the video is lengthy, all right? I warn you of that now. I think it runs about 41 minutes. So you can always fast forward through it if you're not in the market to actually work along or to watch this in detail. And as always, I will, at the end of this series, put all the pieces together and make them its own standalone video for you. But anyways, here it is, the iCraft Tote Folio Album Assembly. So today I'm going to put together another one of the iCraft kits. This particular one is called the Tote Folio Album, and it looks like this, and it says, this set contains one set of 13 pieces, each of black and craft cardstock, and 8 pieces of tags. This scrapbook can contain 20 photographs. The final size of the scrapbook would be 5 inches by 8 inches. So essentially, you're going to get 2 of these out of one kit, which most of their kits are like that. Some even actually have 3. And for $10.99 Canadian, I think you can't beat the price. Now let's just take a look at the back before we open this up. And here on the back we have a diagram of all of the pieces with their measurements. I have come to realize that at times these particular dimensions are not exactly what you get in the package. So if you're going to cut out background papers for your tote, you should actually measure what each of those sections is. It also says it's got DIY instructions included. This is something they're starting to do in most of their kits, which is really great. And here is just some smaller pictures showing you the outside and the inside, what it looks like when it's all opened up. Okay, so let's open the package up and take a look at what we have. Okay, the box is empty. So here are our instructions, and here are our kits in black and in craft. So I think for the sake of this video today, I'm going to work only with one of these. And I think I will work with the black. So we'll sort out the pieces that go with the black. So all the black pieces, all the craft pieces, Looks like there's little perforations here, so maybe it will explain what those are for. And these must be the inside pages. I've done enough of these kits now to know what the pieces might look like. And those are pages as well. And that's craft piece, black piece, craft piece, black piece. Okay, so I'll work on the black and I'll save the craft for later. Now, I always like to try and put one of these together, since there's multiples, before I start getting into the more serious job of embellishing and decorating it. And here are our instructions. So I also like to mark on here what each of these pieces are. So let's see. So they say there's a big piece here that's the base, and it's got flaps on the side. So this must be the base, and they call that base 1. And then another piece here with a flap on this side, base 2. Now, of course, I'm writing these in white pen so you can see it, but those will get covered up with background paper, so I'm not worried about that. There's this little piece here, right there, flap 3. Then we have the pages themselves, and there should be 8 of these. So let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Oh, okay, there are, and I think it's pretty obvious that these are the pages, so I don't think I need to write that information down. Just get them all in here in the right way. Okay, and then we have all these little pieces, and let's see, this is called the belt 4. And then there's a tag, and there's a round tag, so there are 2 of these black tags. Okay, they only show 1. Then there's these, looks like little flaps. I think they go on the outside to hold it together, and then this little piece here, which I guess we'll figure that out because they don't call it anything. Okay, but those are a minor concern because they're just embellishments in themselves. Okay, put those over to the side. And now let's look at this. Attach base 1 to flap 3. So base 1, flap 3. And it looks like it's going to be attached this way. Again, I've mentioned this in previous videos. They do this all on the craft when they take their pictures, and you cannot see the score lines very clearly. It is not very well photographed. Okay, so this piece, is there a score line on here? There is not a score line on here. It looks like this piece is going right very faintly I can see the little line here, and that's supposed to go, it looks like it's going right up. No, I don't think it is. Okay. You would think this would be simple. Oh, okay. So they're putting this, I guess we should score this then, or fold it. So get out my bone folder.
Let's fold these flaps in. And fold this one this way. And while I'm at it, I might as well fold them all. It doesn't say so in the instructions, but eventually they're going to have to be folded, so might as well do it now while everything is flat and there isn't anything attached to anything else. Okay, so I think I will use my double-sided tape for this, and according to this flap just goes in right on the edge of that, I guess. Okay, this doesn't make a lot of sense because I've got this big gap here. Okay, let's take a look at the picture of when it's opened. Where's the package? Okay, so basically, this is not helping. Let's jump down a step. Attach base number 2 to the other side of flap 3. This does not make any sense whatsoever. Oh. Okay. They have mislabeled their parts. Because you're flipping this around and it's going to the other side. They want, this should be, they're saying attach base 1, this one, but it's basically base 2 because it's got the smaller flap. So let's just fold all these in. This can be very frustrating. That is why I'm making these videos, to help you out. Now, I did not look up, but I don't think I saw when the last time I was on their YouTube channel, the iCraft channel. I don't think they had this particular one on there. So, according to the diagram, that's a little smaller than this little piece. It's attached right here. Yep, that's how that works. Okay, so we're going to use some of our double-sided tape. You could use glue if you wished. And we'll take that off. Now, we've got to line it up with the fold, or the crease is on the edge, and line it up with the edge of that other piece. Now that looks pretty good. And varnish it down. And then this instruction, which is also screwed up, says to attach base 2, well, base 2 is base 1, to the other side of flap 3. And in this diagram, they're showing they're showing it that way, and this piece, no, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, I think it goes that way. Yeah, so let's put our tape on this piece right here. Because I think what we're building here is the actual base, like, well, not the base, but the whole folding over piece. So I'm just going to flip that this way, and no, I'm going to flip it this way and line this piece up with that edge. I think like that. So let's just see, how would this... Yeah, I think that's it. Okay. Fold with the help of creasing. Okay, again, broken English here. Fold with the help of creasing. Okay, well, they're showing these parts. After folding all the borders inside, your base is ready for pages. All the borders. Okay. So we've got all of these folded over. And positioning, I'm just looking at this. It's still okay. That one's going there. So, but this piece does not look like that. But that's got to be the way it goes. Okay. After folding all the borders inside, your base is ready for pages. Attach page 1 to the base as shown. Similarly, repeat the process for the seven others. Okay, so these have a score line. So that must be the hinge. Oops. Paper split. I don't like their black cardstock. I find it's very cheap. So where does the page go? Oh, I guess we have to glue all these down. We do. And it looks like every one of these. Okay. Get out some tape. I'm going to use a little narrower tape this time, the 1/4 inch as opposed to the 1/2 inch. Because the 1/2 inch is just a little, just made it on these other flaps. And I don't want any glue from the tape hanging over the edges, because that might cause some grief. You know, I wonder when they do these instructions, whether they have changed the design after they have created the instructions slightly, and that's why the pictures don't necessarily always match up. I suspect that might be the case. I guess this just reinforces the edges, which is probably a good idea, because it doesn't seem that these flaps have any other purpose. Let's make sure they're stuck down well before I pull off the backing. Okay. Yeah, that's got to be the purpose of these little flaps that hang out here just to reinforce the edges, because it is a tote, and when it's folded up, I think it would give it a little bit more strength. Probably should have folded this one in first and then put that one over the edge, but I don't think it's going to make a lot of difference. I should be giving them a bit of a varnish as well to make sure everything is adhering. Hope I'm in the shot here so you can see what I'm doing. It's difficult to record and work on these things in a limited space to make sure everything's in the camera shot. Okay, varnish these. Okay, so there is essentially, let's get these out of our way. So there's essentially the folio. So if that's the top flap, this comes over. See, I don't think that's right. No, it's not right. They showed that part actually. Wonder if I can take this. This may be tricky. Let's see, use a little spatula thing here. Because that's not right. Good thing this is just the prototype, because I think I'm destroying it. Okay, not too bad. Alright, so let's look at this again. They're showing this piece so if that is the base, then I think okay. So this piece is going to get attached there, and that piece is going to get attached down there. Okay, put some tape on this. This is a little strange. Okay, so I'm putting the tape on this little part that came out from what we were calling base 2. So we have our flap that we attached on this side. Don't worry that this is upside down. And then we have our tape on this little flap, and then we need this tape again here, which I'm going to have to refresh. One thing about using this two-sided tape, you can kind of roll it off just like that. We'll put some fresh tape on. I'll use the wider. Okay, so we have this piece like that, as you see. Okay, so we've got tape on that flap, and I've got tape on this inside flap here, so I need to butt this end right up against here, and then will that one go down? Wait, no. Okay, basically, essentially what we want this to do, to join those pieces like that. Yeah, that would do it, you see, just like that. So let's take this strip off first of all. So this score line on this one has to line up with that score line on that one. And so you see this will close like that. And now just to add security, we've got this flap in here with the tape on it, so we'll just peel that off. and fold that over and varnish it, and I think now we have it together correctly. So if this is the outside flap, let's get the packaging again. Okay, you see they have an outside flap, which would be like this. Then this piece goes up here inside this. And what you essentially have on the outside, that's the spine. I think that needs a bit more of a fold. Yeah, there we go. Look at it from the top here, you can see. Now it's a little bit more narrow on the top than at the bottom. And I'm wondering, yep, but that's what they show in this diagram when you get the pages in it. That's a little wider. Okay, so now putting in the pages. And according to this, they show it with the rounded edge over here. And this is your spine. So they all have to go in here. So you see you've got your spine here. So there's a score line here, a score line here. And I would say what you do is, do we want these on the inside? I guess it doesn't matter. So need some tape. Might need a little bit. That's a 1/4 inch. Better get my 8. It's always good to have a variety of sizes of tape. Let's move some of this stuff out of the way. Those are my pages. We'll put them over here, that over there. Okay, we've got a little bit more space here. Okay, take that off. Now, I don't think it's a good idea to pre-fold these before you put them in, like I did with this one. I think you should leave them unfolded and then fold them after you get them glued in. I think it makes it easier. So if I do this, I'm going to line this edge up with the first score line on the spine. Trying to keep it straight. There, we have our first one in. 1 down, 7 to go. And now I think I'm crooked. I'm a little crooked, but you can do a little bit of fudging using your score tool, making the paper respond. Okay, so that's first page. Again, I'm a little crooked. So I'm just refolding the page to make it fit, because if the first one is not straight, your other ones are all going to be crooked too. Okay, so let's take another one, and we're not going to fold this on the score line yet. We're just going to get our tape down. Peel that off, and now what we're going to do is we're going to butt this up to this page. And I know on the black this is very difficult to see, but we're just going to butt it up, try to keep it straight, varnish it, and now fold it on the score line. And if we need be, adjust it slightly to make sure it's square. There's our second page. So with the rest of these pages, I'm going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to put the tape on the flap, I'm going to butt it up against this piece here, then I'm going to fold it and move on. So you don't need to watch me do all of that. I'll do that and come back and show you the end result. Okay, so now I have all the pages in here, and I want to show you something. I made a little mistake. I glued this one down wrong. I had to pull it out. When I pulled it out, it tore up some of the black top section of the cardstock. That's no problem. Now this one I am not going to probably finish anyways in terms of decorating it. I'm saving that for the craft one. But it's easy enough to fix something like this when it's in black. Just take a black magic marker, a Sharpie or whatever, and just go over that. And that blends it in. And I think the last page I have a similar little spot. Yeah, right down here. And I'm just going to color it in. Now when I get background papers on it, these won't really be noticeable, but right now I just thought I should fill it in. So according to this, the instructions, this should look like this when you put it on its side. So flap over, everything lining up, and yes, let's compare. And they're showing it from the side, but I can't show it from the side. But yes, that's the way it looks. Okay, so far so good. So what's next? Step 7, attach tags to flap 3. So they mean these two pieces. Now these have little dots pressed into them. I think that's to make them look like a stitching line. I don't know what I'll do with that when I actually put the one with the papers on it together. And they're saying to glue them on the flap. Let's check the diagram on the box. So essentially these two pieces, which will be very difficult for you to see because it's black on black, just go here. And they're showing holding them in with some brads, which would probably be nice, but for the sake of this being our prototype, I'm not going to attach them with brads. I'm just going to use double-sided tape again. I think I'll use my 1/2 inch. I'm only going to use one piece near the top of each little, I call it a flap, they're calling it a tag. I don't think it matters what you call it, as long as you know what to do with them. Okay, I'm just going to open this up, make it a little easier. And they don't give any exact measurements, but it looks like it's in about 3/4 of an inch from the side. And so let's see if I can line this one up. There we go. Now on the final version of this, I think I would use some brads in this. In fact, I might stick them on first with some glue or with this 2-sided tape and then put the brads in it afterwards. Just gives it a little bit more strength. So according to the diagram, ours, when it's closed up, should look like this, and it does. There's my little flaps on the outside. Okay. Then step 8, fold belt 4, here's belt 4, as shown with the help of creasing. Oh, I just love their broken English. Okay, so it looks like these end flaps go in. These go in as well. So this is the handle on the top, as you can see in the next diagram. So basically just this reinforces the handle. I wondered about that because it's basically just light cardstock. So if you're going to use this as a handle, it needs to be reinforced in some way. Okay. That's how they showed in there. So now I need to put down some tape. For this step, the glue might be better. But for now, since I'm just demoing the basic assembly, I'm just going to use my tape. And I'm using 1/4 inch for this particular one. Just give it a fold over a little bit first and then peel off our tape from one edge, fold it down, flip it around, pull the tape off this edge, and let's give it a good varnish. Now I'm thinking, when I do the background papers, and since I probably won't want to leave this as a black handle, rather than trying to fiddle around with trying to put background papers on it, I may just cut out a strip that's the same measurements and just score it the way they have, and that way I don't have to worry about trying to adhere a little tiny strip of paper. Or you could use a little piece of washi tape. I don't know which. We'll see when we come to that. Now it says, attach the belt for as shown with the help of creasing. Okay, so there's 2 crease marks here on either end. So it looks like you fold it back, fold the other end back. So I folded these 2 ends back, give them a bit of a more secure crease, and then it looks like this has to have a bit of a curve to it, and then you're going to just wonder if you should do it underneath. I almost think underneath would look better, but then you don't get that much pull up. Let's look at the packaging again. Yeah, it's hard to tell, but it does look like it's gone out from either side there, and then they've used another brad in each one to reinforce it. Yeah, I think that's how you do it. So for now, I'm just going to use my tape. Where's my wider tape? This is the 1/2 inch. And it just fits. And I think I put it on the wrong side. No, I didn't. I put it on the right side. Okay, because I don't want that seam to be seen that runs along the length of the handle, or belt as they call it. Okay, peel this off. Now I guess you're just going to eyeball it. And I think I'd like to give this a little bit of a curvature, so I'm just going to take my fingers and sort of work a curve into it. And let's lay this down flat and kind of center it. I guess I'll go in, I'm just guessing here, going in about 1/2 inch from the edge, and I'm trying to center it. Trying to keep it straight. I'm just eyeballing it. I suppose if you want to be very precise, you could measure this off. Ooh, put it in the wrong spot, people. That's not going to work there. It's got to go up there. Okay. Let's see if we can get this off. Okay, that came off not too bad. This is why I show you these. I have not done anything beforehand. If I had, we'd know how to do this. So I'm doing it just like you probably would when you got it out of the package. Okay, we're okay as far as that's concerned there. So it's going to go across there. I probably need more tape. Yep. I'm glad this two-sided tape just rolls right off. It makes life easier when it does that. I'll try this again. Okay, so it's got to go on that little piece up there. Again, go in about 1/2 inch and see if I can line it up. Okay, there's our little handle. You may want to do a little shaping of this. Okay, and then it says step 10, and all it says completed scrapbook. So I guess this is for these tags. So you can take these, and I guess you could probably decorate them any way you want to, and then it looks like what they have done is they've taken a piece of butcher twine and just put it through these loops so they hang off the top of the handle. So let's see, there are some holes in these. It looks like you have to punch out the little piece. Let's get this out. Okay, I'm all thumbs. There we go. And a little round tag. Now, these little pieces, it comes with them, but you know, I think I would be tempted to go into my stash and just pull out, because I know I've got tags like these somewhere there that I could use, and even if they're not exactly the same as this, I could use them rather than fiddling around with trying to decorate these. But for the sake of this, I'm just going to grab some butcher twine. And I'll be right back because I got to go to another part of my craft room to get that. So I found my butcher twine and I just threaded it through all these little tags, and now I can tie it to the handle. At least that's what they're showing in the picture, so I'll just follow their advice. And I don't think it needs to be terribly tight. Let's just give it a little knot here. And let's see. And there goes the clock. Right on time. That might be a little too loose. Actually, I'm just going to tighten this up a little bit. I mean, you want to be able to flip through these in case you put something on them. But I don't want them too loose and dangly. That should be good. Okay. And I can leave a little bit of this off the edge just as a little extra decorative flair. And there we have it. Okay. So there's my tags flipped up there. And inside opens up. And you have lots of real estate for pictures and things like that. So that's the basic assembly of the Tote folio album. And in our next segment, I'm going to do the background papers. Now for that, I'm going to use the second folio that came in this kit. It's the craft, and I'm going to pre-cut my decorative pages using my Cricut Maker, as I did on some of my other ones, and then I'll assemble this as I decorate each page, as I put my background papers on each. I think it just make it a little bit easier. So that'll be next time.
So next week we'll carry on to doing the actual putting the paper, the decorative paper, onto each of the pieces of the Tote album. Okay, so what's been happening in the past week? My mother's fine. Talked to her yesterday. Going over to see her tomorrow. Didn't really get over to see her during the week last week because we were busy with a bunch of other things, but she sounds good, and yeah, not going to say anything more there because there's nothing more to say. We did have an adventure. On Tuesday of last week, we went to visit our friends in Toronto, same ones that I'm making the quilt for. And they invited us to come down, and they have a sailboat, a large sailboat. And we went out to what's called the Toronto Islands. These are in Lake Ontario, just off the shore of Toronto. A great place to go in the summertime. Lots of beaches there, and you know, there's even an amusement park for the kids and things like that. So they invited us to go out there and to go, you know, have a picnic kind of a thing, have a barbecue at their boat, and to go to this beach called Hanlon's Point. Now, Hanlan's Point is kind of a famous beach for those of us that live in the Toronto area. Why is that, you may ask? Well, this beach is divided into two sections. There is a close on and there's a close off. Okay, actually they call it clothing optional. Well, in other words, people who like to be naked, they can do it there. So we went and we spent the afternoon on the beach. Now, I'll let you know right now, we did not exercise the option to remove our clothing. I am not a beach person at the best of times. I do not take off my clothes in public. Okay, I do have a body image problem. I always have had. But I'm not a sun worshiper and that kind of thing. So I wasn't really looking forward to this. My one friend really wanted to do this. So down to the beach we went. We had chairs, we had umbrellas, we had booze. That helps. And we sat there for the afternoon. Well, I saw things I shouldn't see. Nobody should see. I did learn a few things though. One, gravity is not your friend no matter what age you are. Okay? Things just drop. Okay? And two, I learned that there's a lot of people that shouldn't be naked that like to be naked. And I have to give them credit for having a very positive self-image of themselves. Just avert your eyes. 3, I now understand why men are always searching for the elusive perky breasts. I don't know if they exist or not, but they sure didn't exist on this beach, I can tell you that. There are other fun things too. Like, sometimes I can be very naive. We were walking along on the beach when we first get there, and I say to my friend, geez, there's a skunk. I can smell skunk. Must be one close by. It wasn't a skunk. I'm such an idiot. There was a guy sitting not too far from where we eventually planted ourselves, and he was smoking a pipe of marijuana. Now, it's legal in Canada, so no big deal. But it smells like skunk to me. And first thing I'm thinking, skunk. No. In fact, my friend thought I was just being funny when I said that. And I went, no, I actually thought of a skunk. I didn't even think about, I don't even think about marijuana on the beach. And other things I didn't think about, besides the nudity of marijuana on the beach, is popsicles. Yes, Mr. Freezies. Actually, these were adult Mr. Freezies. There was a lady selling these. She makes them. They were quite large, but they look like a big freezy. They came in several different flavors. I think we got a couple of strawberry ones, but of course they're laced with vodka, or some of them had like rye in them or something else. $10 a pop, and actually they were really good. They were really good. And you could get pretty much blasted on a couple of those too. We only had one, so we were okay. Mind you, we had a cooler full of wine and beer. So, but we were very conservative with that. So it turned out to be a really interesting day. So then we made our way back to the boat. And this is where I had my little adventure. I went down into the hold of the boat for some reason. There is a set of stairs, but they're more like a ladder. Now, nobody told me the etiquette on a sailboat or with these kind of setups, these kind of ladder-like stairs, that you should go down backwards, like you would on a ladder. Not me. I go down forward facing. That was my mistake, because I stepped out into space after the first step and fell flat on my back on the bottom of the boat. Yes, I did hurt myself. I banged up my knee, my leg. I didn't break anything. I think I bruised it pretty good. It's still sore. That was almost a week ago, but I can walk. But I can tell you, that first night we stayed over at their place, at their condo, and I was in a lot of pain. I took one of our special little gummies. You've heard me talk about the special little gummies, and a Tylenol, and neither really worked. So I didn't get a lot of sleep that night. But I'm happy to say that although it's not 100% right now, I can bend it, I can walk on it without assistance. It still hurts in a way like it's kind of stiff, kind of a thing, but I think it's getting better. And this morning I got on my treadmill. I took it really slow, but I'm looking at that as now as sort of physiotherapy for this. Could have been a lot worse. I do have a nice bruise on my other leg, and I didn't realize it, but I have a big bruise on my back near my tailbone area. But it doesn't hurt. I didn't hurt my back. It was just my leg. So, yeah. Now, you might say the reason I fell down was because I'd had too many wobbly pops. Well, that could have contributed to it, but I wasn't blottoed or anything. I couldn't see the step. I didn't think about it. And the next thing I knew, I'm on my back. So, yeah, that was a little bit of an adventure. Walter was so kind to tell me how I can prevent that in the future. He says 62-year-old men should not fall down. Thank you. Words of wisdom. Okay, I will keep that in mind. So that was about the highlight of the week. So what's coming up? I belong to an online quilters group called The Quilter's Way. I have talked about the Quilter's Way before. It's run by a lady. Her name is Kim. I met her last summer. She's actually from this area, her and her husband, but they live in Calgary, Alberta. And I'm a member of this group. Well, she's coming. Actually, she's already here. Out for a visit to her family to see them, and she has set up a meet and greet at a quilt store in the area, which is a little bit north of us, about an hour north of us, where her family live, and for Friday. So we're going to go up to see her. We've been in communication. We're talking about doing lunch beforehand and everything, so that'll be nice. So if you want to check out who this person is, very easy on YouTube. Look for Chatterbox Quilts, and you will find Kim Jameson Hurst. That's her name. And if you want, just do a search for The Quilter's Way. And I'll just put a little plug in for Kim. It's a great site. It is a membership site, but the price is very reasonable. I think it's like about $10, $11 American a month. And we get together usually twice a month in a video conference to talk about some very specific topics to quilters, and is sharing what we've been doing and things like that. It's very friendly, it's very social, and you learn quite a bit. She has online courses that are free with your membership, and they're very informative. She's an excellent presenter. So, go ahead, check it out. It costs you nothing to check it out. That's The Quilter's Way. Okay, so what's coming up besides? Nothing, except it's the long weekend here in Canada. It's Labor Day weekend. They're going back. Yes, this was the weekend coming up that I used to dread when I was a teacher, because that meant summer was over, back to work. And now I just laugh. As the school buses go by, I go, bye-bye, have a nice time. And I have a moment of silence for all of my teacher friends that are still working. So, yep, that's coming up. And yeah, it's sad to see the end of the summer, really. I mean, technically summer doesn't end on the calendar until the 21st of September. But of course, everybody considers, Labor Day weekend, that's it. We're into fall. And all the regular schedules of things start up again. And yeah, people are counting the days down to next summer, or to Christmas, or to Thanksgiving. It just all goes by very fast. Too fast, I think. Okay, so that's the week that was for me, and I hope you have a good week, and we'll be on air this coming Sunday, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope to see you then, and have no idea what our topic this week's going to be. It'll be inspired sometime, I guess, about that later on. Okay, have a good one. Bye-bye.